Guys, it's Zoe back again with another video. I'm going to address the rest of the things on my list on quadratic equations on your CAS calculator. We have addressed plotting quadratic equations on a graph, seeing it all using the window settings, finding the x and y intercepts, and the turning point both minimum and maximum. Now in this video, we're going to explore the expanding and factorising functions on your CAS calculator, but first I'm going to show you how to plot domains. Okay, so here I have an example for you. A domain is something like this here, which includes the is equal to, is greater than, those sort of symbols, which look like these weird side V's with a line under them. Now, this equation here, f of x or y equals x squared minus 2, that is our sum, and that sum's domain is -2 is smaller than or equal to x, and x is smaller than or equal to 5. Every single graph that has a domain will have a beginning and an end. It's as simple as that. And you know that you've plotted the graph right if you can see that beginning and end. We can see that we have a 1 beginning here, and we know that it's right because our x squared in our quadratic equation produces a parabola, and this here is a parabola, but we don't have our last ending. So if we scroll up, we could also use window zoom to find this. We can see our end here, and we know we've done it correctly. So if we open up another graph page and enter in another quadratic sum and a domain. For example, let's go x squared minus 4. Now we see that this is our sum, our quadratic sum, because it has an x squared. However, our domain is yet to come. To put that in, we need this sign by clicking Control equals. We can see this chart up here. Now, you want to click this one, this massive capital I. What it means is given that. So I can explain that after we've put our domain in, which is -5 smaller than or equal to x. And again, we can get that by clicking Control equals to x. And x is smaller than or equal to 2. Now this here is our domain because it's telling the calculator that I only want this graph, I only want x to be larger than or equal to -5, and I only want it to be smaller than or equal to 2. This, not this, we want this given that sign here. That's how you input it into the sum. And this is the sum, the quadratic sum. If we click enter, we can see this. Oh, and it's a pretty pink. Don't like pink. Anyway, we can see that it's a parabola because it's x squared. So we have successfully graphed a quadratic equation, or sum. We then see that we have 1 point here that finishes and ends, and that's all good, but we need the other one. So let's scroll up till we find it, and here it is. So we know that we have successfully graphed a domain quadratic equation. To put this entire sort of sequence, this quadratic equation with a domain, in an English sentence, I'm going to say f of x or y equals x squared minus 4, given that -5 is smaller than or equal to x, and x is smaller than or equal to 2. I am telling the calculator, please find y between these points if x squared is -4. Pretty much that's it. It's pretty basic once you get your head around what it actually means, and with this form, if you can read it, read your domain and understand what it means, then it's probably going to become easier to graph your equation. By clicking Control up on my keypad, I can see this scroll of all my pages open. I'm going to clean them up so I can then talk to you about factorising and expanding. Now, we know that I already have 2 examples up here. However, I'm going to focus on factorising first. We know that factorising puts a sum into brackets, whereas expanding takes it out of brackets. To get the factor, we can click Menu 3, 2. To do this, we can just enter whatever we want to do. I'm going to do x squared plus 3 squared. Unlike using the solve function, there is no comma x or comma 3, comma squared. None of that is necessary. All we have to do is click enter and it expands it for us. X squared plus 9. Now, we could also, if you suddenly have a mental blank in the exam or the test, whatever you're doing, you can type factor. And notice it goes from italics to not italics as I finish the word, because the calculator is recognizing that it has this function stored within itself, sort of. Because this keyboard isn't a QWERTY keyboard, it's actually all in alphabetic order, it's going to be much slower to actually type that in like this and then re-enter your sum up here. So we do like to use menu algebra 2 or menu 3-2 for factor. But if you do have that blank, it's important to know that you can do that for both expand and factorising. Now, to expand, we can go to menu, algebra, or 3, and expand, or 3 again, and we can enter our sum. I'm going to be using 3x plus 1 and about 5x plus 4. It's important to notice that although when you type factor or expand, brackets automatically come up, these outside guys over here, but just because they're there doesn't mean you can ignore the brackets on the inside. Always input everything. If you are given an equation, given a sum, and you're going to use the calculator to find some answers for it, you always put all of it in unless otherwise specified or you know pretty damn well what you're doing. Click enter and it will take it out of the brackets for you just like this, and that's your answer. Simple as. It's really, really great. Okay, so that's me done. Guys, all of these will be linked in the description box below. I hope you guys learned something. My name for all you Genazzano students is Zoe Fisher, so if you have any questions, please come to me and go ask. If not, post a comment in the below and I'm sure I can give it my best, but I'm no teacher, although I have teachers at my disposal, so I'm sure I can go ask them. But yeah, so, have fun learning, use the CAS to its max, and keep on studying. Bye.